Okay, so put on the screen what I just handed out to y'all. On Wednesday, our final exam is going to take place in Powell 110. Have a map. Okay, this is us over in Lode Hall. Number 44 here is Powell Hall. It's the two buildings for the business college. So it's Powell on the left and White on the right. 110 is back in this hallway close to their little courtyard. There's a couple of doors to enter there, but I should be there before you to get the room set up. I'd like you to try to be there by 8:30 because it takes a little bit of a while to get logged into ServSafe. So please don't bring any cell phones or any other type of communication or photographic devices. Those are not permitted during the exam. The exam is timed for 2 hours from the time we click start exam. There are a total of 90 questions on the exam. 10 of them are what they call test questions that are not going to count towards your final score. We'll have no way of knowing what those questions are. So the 80 questions remaining, you need to score at least 60 correct answers in order to earn the 75% which you need for certification. If you don't pass but score at least 65, you can retake the exam for a fee of $30, which is what our exam access code costs. At the end of the exam, raise your hand when you're finished. I'll come over and enter my proctor code. A new screen will come up. It'll indicate pass or fail, and that's all it's going to tell you at that point. We won't get the actual scores until everybody completes the exam, and I can come back to my office and get it graded. Okay, the other side. Okay. We've talked about this a few times, but if you haven't done it, go on to servsafe.com and create an account. Make sure you have that information, what your user ID is and what your password is. It's probably the biggest delay in getting started in the exam. A menu or a screen is going to come up once you get logged in. On the header menu, click ServSafe Manager. From the next screen, you'll click take your exam and take exam. There's a drop-down menu that will have ServSafe Manager, Certification Online Examination. The version that you want to take is going to be the English language exam. Here's an examinee test use agreement, basically saying that you agree that you're not going to share any information from this test and that you're not going to cheat. You accept that. In the welcome examinee box, enter your exam access code. If you haven't opened up your envelope with your exam access code in it, it's probably 12 to 16 characters. I can't remember exactly how long it is. Capital letters have to be locked on. You have to put all the hyphens in the box, so exactly the way that it's printed on your on the little envelope that you get. The next screen is going to come up with your account information on it. There's going to be a lot of stuff missing. The only thing they're going to make you put in there is gender. So pick one and then go to the bottom of the screen and it says Proctor access code, which is for me to type in. And whenever you get to that point, I'll come over, I'll enter the code and you can get started. Okay, any questions? Yeah, yes.
If I bring my bag and all that, can I put it against the wall and wait till I go?
There's some tables in the front, yeah, but make sure your phones are turned off, all that kind of stuff. I will not be able to answer questions during the exam. I can't tell you what a word means if you don't recognize the word. Uh, I'm not supposed to look at the questions on the exam, so I usually don't do that. The 2 hours to take the exam is a lot of time. But do not rush when you're taking the exam. Make sure you read things, read the question especially carefully so that you're sure you know what they're asking. Okay, be sure if they're asking for temperatures are pretty clear that they're asking for a temperature. But whether they're looking for some type of action like hand washing or the steps in setting up a pot sink versus the steps in washing your pots and pans. So what's the first step in setting up a pot sink? I'm going to make somebody else. You walk up to your pot sink and what's the first thing you have to do? Clean and sanitize the pot sink, all three sinks and the sideboard. So that's the first step in setting up the sink. And then you fill up each sink with water, hot water, and soap in the first sink, rinse water in the second sink, and then your sanitizing water in the third sink. Okay. Another review. Okay, so which food best supports the growth of bacteria? Cooked rice. Okay. This parasite is linked to berries and lettuce. First one is Anisakis simplex. Second is Giardia duodenalis. Third is Cryptosporidium parvum. And the fourth is Cyclospora. Yeah, I can't pronounce that one. Guesses? 3? Okay, yeah, that's the Cryptosporidium. We'll see. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Which is considered a ready-to-eat food? Uncut melon, salt and pepper, unpeeled banana, or uncooked apple pie? Should be salt and pepper. You're not going to do anything else. What is the minimum internal temperature that must be maintained when holding hot soup for service? 100, 120, 135, or 155? 135, right? Okay. Which is an FDA public health intervention for controlling the risk factors for foodborne illnesses, noting allergens on the menus, review of construction plans, implementing consumer advisories, providing variances for special processes. 4? Okay, well, we're gonna go over, do you think it's 3 and 5? Why should food be covered when it is being held? Covers help maintain a food's internal temperature. Covers primarily protect food from cross contact. Covers help food reach the correct temperature. Covers keep hands from contact with food. What is cross contact? Pardon me?
Once contact, we're not doing that. Yeah, but. We're not doing that. We're not gonna stop the speed, not expect it to happen.
It sounds like you're talking about cross-contamination. Cross-contamination is transferring pathogens from one surface to another surface. Cross-contact is transferring what? Allergens. Okay. So I believe the correct answer for this is number 1. Covers help maintain a food's internal temperature. Holes are found in the ground around some quiet places along the building. What type of pest may be present? Roaches, rats, mice, or rats or mice? Actually, I believe it's going to be number 2 because mice like the soft materials and they don't necessarily dig holes. What is a benefit of a self-inspection? Improved food quality, reduction in the frequency of formal health inspections, decrease in need for liability insurance, and shorter formal inspections by regulatory agencies. I have one in the front. Okay, I believe 1 is going to be our correct answer. Which government agency reviews an operations HACCP plan? FDA, USDA, CDC, state and local regulatory agencies. It's going to be your state and local regulatory agencies. Restaurant stores windshield washer fluid for their delivery vehicles with other chemicals used in the operation. Why can't it be stored there? 1, it is highly toxic and corrosive to metals. 2, it is more likely to leak. 3, it is not necessary for the maintenance of the facility. And 4, it can react with the other chemicals that are stored there. Pardon me? 3, okay, that's correct. It's not necessary for the maintenance of the facility. Which symptom could mean a customer is having allergic reaction to food? Coughing, dehydration, swollen lips, and sneezing. Swollen lips, yes. Chef purchases fish from a local fisherman. Is this an approved supplier? 1, yes, if the fish is fresh caught. 2, yes, if the town has licensed the fisherman. 3, no, not if the fisherman is local. And 4, no, the fisherman is not inspected. 4, 2. The correct answer would be 4. I mean, I can get a fishing license, but that doesn't mean that I can sell the fish to a restaurant. Okay, what do time temperature indicators do? Measure temperature through a probe with a sensor at the end. Measure the length of time that food should be cooked. show if food has been cross-contaminated during preparation, and show if food has been time temperature abused during shipment. 4, okay. What must be included in restrooms? Hand sanitizers, signage, warm air hand dryer, garbage containers if paper towels are provided. 2, okay. What are the 3 most common types of chemical sanitizers? Chlorine, iodine, and quartz, chlorine, alcohol, and disinfectant, iodine, alcohol, and quartz, iodine, steam, and alcohol. Number 1. What is a common food handling mistake that can cause foodborne illness? Failing to supervise food deliveries, failing to exclude food handlers who are ill, failing to calibrate thermometers regularly, failing to prevent cross contact from allergens. 2. A guest became ill with a high fever and rash after eating at a salad bar. Which pathogen is likely the cause of the illness? 1, Vibrio vulnificus. 2, Anisakis simplex. 3, Salmonella typhi. 4, Clostridium perfringens. So if they have a fever and a rash, what does that sound like? Does it sound like a virus or a bacteria? Okay, it sounds like sounds a little bit like an allergy, which can happen with some seafood toxins. So at this point, I'm going to guess that it's number 2, the Anisakis simplex. Best method from preventing a physical hazard in food from causing an injury. 1, practicing proper food defense. 2, preventing cross-contamination. 3, proper cleaning and sanitizing. And 4, purchasing from approved suppliers. 2, 4. Okay, I believe the correct answer is going to be 4. Which disease is transmitted through food? 1, hepatitis C. 2, tuberculosis. 3, typhoid fever. And 4, HIV. 1. Any other answers? 2, 1. Okay, the correct answer is going to be 3. The Salmonella typhi is also known as typhoid fever. These other diseases are not transmitted through food. What is the most important factor in choosing an approved food supplier? It has a HACCP program or other food safety system. It has documented manufacturing and packing practices. It has a warehouse that is close to the operation, reducing shipping time. It has been inspected and complies with local, state, and federal laws. 4, okay, good. When is a review of construction plans by the regulatory authority required? 1, when starting new construction or large remodeling. 2, when starting any construction in the establishment. 3, when the local building department requires it. 4, when construction is occurring in a full service establishment. Okay, number one, when you're starting new construction or large remodeling, if you're doing some type of small remodeling, you wouldn't need them to come in. But you want them to look at the plans before you do any kind of major remodeling. Which cleaner is best for removing baked on grease from a sheet pan? Detergent, degreaser, delimer, or an abrasive cleaner? 2. Okay, should be 2. Organizations that certify or classify that food service equipment meets sanitary design and construction standards must be accredited by what organization? Edison Testing Laboratories, Underwriters Laboratory, National Construction Foundation, or American National Standards Institute. Okay, 4. We'll see when we go through the. To help a pest control operator start an effective treatment program, what information is important to gather about pests spotted in the operation? 1, color, girth, and gender. 2, date, time, and location. 3, size, type, and number. 4, species, frequency, and number. 4. I think it's number 2, but we'll see. When is technology-based training most appropriate? 1, when budget is no issue. 2, when teaching millennials. 3, when staff needs to learn at their own pace. 4, when instructors are not available to teach the information. I feel like I'm looking at third base coaches. I believe it's going to be 3, when staff need to learn at their own pace. The best way to prevent backflow, never create an air gap, attach hoses directly to faucets, do not use vacuum breakers, avoid creating a cross connection. 4. Food for off-site service should be labeled with reheating and service instructions and 1, list of ingredients, 2, use by date and time, 3, date of preparation, 4, inspection stamp. 2, okay. What temperature must partially cooked food reach when it is reheated? 135, 145, 165, or its required minimum internal temperature? 4, 1. 4 is the correct answer. Where should the air temperature measuring device be placed in a cooler? 1, near the door, 2, on a back wall, 3, on the ceiling, 4, near the floor. That should be 1, near the door. Poor quality food is typically a sign of cross-contact, cross-contamination, time temperature abuse, improper personal hygiene. B3, okay. Time temperature abuse. Liquid eggs are inspected by what agency? DHS, FDA, USDA, or CDC? 3, okay, the USDA. What should a manager do with a food handler that is sneezing and has a persistent runny nose? 1, exclude the food handler from the operation. 2, restrict them from working with exposed food. 3, provide the food handler with a means to blow their nose. 4, remind them to turn away from food when sneezing. 2, okay. Which of these is a big 8 food allergen? broccoli, wheat, strawberries, and pork. 2 is the wheat. Chef used brushes purchased at the local hardware store to baste food. Why was this a mistake? 1, the brushes will not last due to heavy use. 2, these types of brushes are not as easy to clean. 3, the brushes are not approved for use with food. And 4, these brushes are not long enough to prevent burns. 3, they're not approved for use with food. Which organization make recommendations for food safety regulation of the food service industry? A, your state regulatory authority, the FDA, the USDA, or the CDC. Okay, 2, the Food and Drug Administration, they make the recommendations for food service regulations. Hand washing is an important measure for preventing this pathogen from causing a foodborne illness. Campylobacter jejuni, Listeria monocytogenes, Clostridium botulinum, and Staphylococcus aureus. 4, 2. Okay, we're gonna have to check the answer on this one. Bloody diarrhea is a common symptom associated with an illness from this pathogen. Shigella, Listeria, Clostridium botulinum, Staphylococcus aureus. Is that a 1? Okay. I believe it's 1, yeah. Jaundice is a symptom of which foodborne illness? Shigellosis, hepatitis A, hemorrhagic colitis, or norovirus. 2, hepatitis A. In what temperature range does bacteria grow most rapidly? 0 to 41, 41 to 70, 70 to 125, 90 to 165. So it's 3, 70 to 125. Which pathogen is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness? Norovirus, Clostridium botulinum, Listeria, Campylobacter jejuni. 1, norovirus. Okay, I think that's the last one. All right, so let's get okay, so first and last question, pretty much the same. Norovirus is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness. That is the last question. Growth of bacteria associated with cooked rice. Parasite linked to berries and lettuce is Giardia. Ready to eat food would be the salt and pepper. Temperature for holding hot soup is 135. Public health intervention, implementing consumer advisories. Food covered when it's being held. Covers maintain the food's internal temperature. Holes are found in the ground associated with rats. Benefit of a self-inspection, improved food quality. Government agency reviewing the HACCP plan is your state and local regulatory. Windshield washer is not necessary for the maintenance of the facility. Allergic reaction would be swollen lips. Local fishermen, no, because the fisherman is not inspected. Time temperature indicators show if food has been time temperature abused during the shipment. In the restrooms, you have to have garbage containers if paper towels are provided. Three most common chemical sanitizers. The first one, chlorine, iodine, and clots. Food handling mistake that can cause foodborne illness. Failing to exclude the food handlers who are ill. High fever and a rash. Ooh, Salmonella typhi. Okay. Best method from preventing a physical hazard in food from causing an injury. Purchasing from approved suppliers. The disease transmitted through food is typhoid fever. A factor in choosing approved food supplier. Correct, number 4. When is the construction plans reviewed by the regulatory authority? Number 1. Cleaner best for removing baked on grease. Is a detergent. I'm going to look these up and make sure that they are exactly correct. Organizations that certify or classify food service equipment meets sanitary design is ANSI, American National Standards Institute. To help a pest control operator start an effective treatment program, the important information to gather is the date, time, and location. When is technology-based training most appropriate? When the staff needs to learn at their own pace. Best way to prevent backflow is avoid creating a cost connection. Food for offsite service needs to have the use by date and time. Partially cooked food must reach its required minimum internal temperature. Air temperature device in the cooler should be near the door. Poor food quality is typically caused by time temperature abuse. Liquid eggs are inspected by the USDA. The food handler sneezing should be restricted from working with exposed food. Wheat is the allergen. The brushes at the store are not approved for use with food. Recommendations for food safety come from the FDA. Hand washing is a preventive measure for 4 Staphylococcus aureus. Bloody diarrhea is a common symptom with Shigella. Jaundice is a symptom of hepatitis A. The range bacteria grow most rapidly is 70 to 125. And this pathogen is norovirus. Okay, so any questions at this point? Do you all feel that you have enough materials to study for the final on Wednesday? Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have a class after this one and you need an excuse, send me an email on the name of the instructor and I'll write to them and let you know that you let them know that you might be late. Some people finish the exam in an hour with no problem. Other people want to take the whole 2 hours, which is fine. I'm there for the whole 2 hours. So, alrighty. Thank you and good luck.